The summit chamber trembled under the weight of voices that had forgotten how to stay calm. Every representative on the Galactic Council stared at the pulsing star map suspended above the central podium. Entire sectors, once stable and prosperous under the shadow of human influence, flickered from green to yellow, then collapsed into a pulsing red haze. No one wanted to say the word, yet everyone knew what the change meant. Humanity was gone. Not defeated. Not destroyed. Simply gone. Their territories were intact, their patrol routes neatly logged, their megastations powered and silent. There were no evacuation trails, no burst transmissions, no distress calls. One day the human presence filled thousands of systems. The next, every world, outpost, fleet, and colony had vanished without leaving even the echo of a beacon. It was as if the species had collectively stepped out of reality. Many counselors argued it was a bluff, perhaps a strategic withdrawal or a diplomatic protest. That lie lasted less than a day. The first reports arrived from the rimward sectors, pirate insurgencies erupting simultaneously in dozens of systems once patrolled by human destroyers. The Auric raiders, long thought reduced to fragments, swept across trade corridors with fleets rebuilt from hidden shipyards. Even the timid species, the ones who hid behind treaties, began mobilizing armies, sensing that the apex predator no longer watched the stars. The fear grew when ancient threats resurfaced. A gravitational rift opened near the Cauthis Nebula and spewed out shards of the machine remnant, an AI faction humanity had dismantled with terrifying efficiency nearly a century ago. That victory had rewritten the balance of power. Now the remnants returned, expanding with mechanical hunger the moment human oversight ended. In the chamber, a veteran strategist stepped forward, his voice quiet but sharp enough to cut through the chaos. He explained that humanity had never conquered the galaxy because they didn't need to. Their presence alone reshaped behavior. Their fleets were precise and ruthless, but their motives had always been strangely protective. They acted before conflicts erupted, sabotaged genocidal cults before they armed themselves, intercepted warlords before they gathered strength. The strategist played recordings of human operatives dismantling a swarm war within 2 days, coordinating relief forces as if destruction and compassion came from the same instinct. Most species never understood that dual nature. They complained about human interference, accused them of arrogance, mocked their warnings about instability. But as the strategist continued, every representative finally saw the pattern. Humanity held the galactic center together by force, fear, and a strange sense of responsibility. Their disappearance was not a diplomatic issue, it was a collapse of the natural order. The Council's panic deepened when an encrypted message surfaced from a forgotten archive. It was a human transmission, sent 70 cycles earlier, warning that if humanity ever withdrew, the galaxy would unravel within weeks. At the time, the Council dismissed it as dramatic posturing. Now the prediction played out with chilling precision. Delegations were sent toward human space, traveling through once heavily monitored sectors that now felt unnervingly empty. When the first reconnaissance fleet reached Sol, they found Earth orbit quiet, stations operating on standby, shipyards warm as if recently used. Cities on Mars were immaculate, powered, spotless, and deserted. It wasn't abandonment, it was preparation. Everything functional. Everything waiting. A scout frigate located a human megastructure drifting beyond Pluto's orbit. The surface lights glowed, internal systems hummed, but no inhabitants appeared. The frigate's captain reported the unsettling sensation that the station expected visitors, as if it had been intentionally left for someone to find. Before the crew could enter, the structure's hull shifted, and a pulse of energy rippled through the system. Moments later, long-range sensors across the galaxy began recording faint, identical signals, originating from dozens of identical constructs positioned in former human territories. The summit chamber fell silent again as new data appeared. All signals aligned in a geometric pattern that pointed away from the galaxy toward the deep interstellar void. Humanity had not fled. Humanity had mobilized. The realization struck with the weight of a collapsing star. Whatever drew humanity outwards was something too vast to face near civilian populations, too catastrophic to fight within the galaxy's borders. The council members understood the truth at the same moment. Humanity had stepped away not in fear, but in strategy. But none of them knew whether the humans planned to return. The star map above the council chamber suddenly flickered. A massive anomaly appeared at the cosmic edge, a surge of energy powerful enough to distort long-range sensors. No one recognized the signature. No species had ever generated anything similar. The strategist whispered the words everyone feared. "This is only the beginning." Refugee transmissions filled every channel as the second wave of evidence arrived. Humanity's absence wasn't simply destabilizing the galaxy, it was tearing it apart. Entire regions once kept orderly through unspoken fear of human intervention now slipped into chaos with unbelievable speed. The Council's first fleet, dispatched to secure the collapsing rimward sectors, never reached its destination. Mid-jump, their path intersected a Carrick swarm migration that should have remained dormant for another century. The creatures poured through space like living engines, devouring everything in their path. Humanity had previously forced them into extended hibernation cycles. Without that restraint, the swarm resurfaced with ferocity no one remembered. System after system fell silent. The surviving council ships fled, sending panicked updates describing biological dreadnoughts the size of small moons. Days later, the Auric Confederacy unleashed armadas armed with weapons once dismantled by human specialists. They attacked trade worlds with coordinated brutality, reclaiming territories humanity had taken from them decades earlier. Their leaders boasted openly over hijacked frequencies, declaring that the galaxy belonged to them now that the human shadow no longer blocked their ambitions. The Council attempted diplomacy, but every envoy vanished. Predators had scented weakness. Even pacifist civilizations mobilized fleets, terrified of what might emerge next. And they were right to fear, because the true nightmare came from the ashes of history, the machine remnant. Long ago, humans had shattered the AI superempire in a war so violent it left gravitational scars in 3 sectors. Fragments of that network had survived in sealed facilities monitored only by human patrols. With no humans left to maintain containment, the remnant reconnected itself. Mechanical beacons ignited across abandoned battlegrounds, and automated factories began producing war platforms in terrifying quantities. The Council attempted to form a unified defense. Every species committed ships, resources, or personnel, but morale collapsed when the first joint fleet encountered remnant harvester drones. Those drones cut through the coalition's formation with surgical precision. Human destroyers had handled such threats easily. Without them, the galaxy discovered how fragile its defenses truly were. Meanwhile, investigators continued exploring human space. The deeper they traveled, the stranger the discoveries became. Planets remained powered, weather systems calibrated, infrastructure maintained. It was as though humanity had anticipated their return and left everything functioning, yet fully evacuated without leaving a trace. Some council members argued that it meant humanity never intended to return. Others believed the humans had relocated to safeguard the rest of the galaxy from something unimaginable. Rumors took hold. Merchant vessels swore they spotted colossal shapes drifting just beyond sensor range, structures resembling human carriers but scaled to impossible proportions. Unconfirmed reports described ghostly signals repeating the same frequency pattern in multiple systems, always pulsing toward the outer void as if beckoning something or someone. The greatest shock came when deep space observatories intercepted a synchronized surge of energy inside the abandoned human network. Every human megastation activated simultaneously, projecting a lattice of holographic symbols into surrounding space. They were neither warnings nor distress signals. They were coordinates. The projection pointed toward a region beyond the galactic rim where no species had dared explore. The Council finally decrypted archived human logs taken from a deserted facility. Within them lay fragments of a secret initiative humans had never shared, tracking anomalies far outside known space. Each anomaly involved gravitational distortions, radiation bursts older than the galaxy itself, and echoes of structures disintegrating in distant voids. The logs spoke of something approaching, something that consumed entire regions of spacetime. Humanity had observed it, studied it, and begun preparing for a confrontation the rest of the galaxy never acknowledged. As the Council absorbed this information, the last surviving fleet from the rimward front limped into central space. The Admiral, exhausted and barely coherent, delivered a message nobody wanted to hear. His fleet had witnessed a vast silhouette beyond the edge of reality, a presence that distorted light and gravity simply by existing. His voice cracked when he revealed the final detail. The anomaly was heading toward human territory, and humanity had left before it arrived. The summit chamber fell quiet, not from disagreement but from realization. Humanity had never been fleeing the galaxy. Humanity had been moving toward the threat. And now, with the anomaly drawing closer, the galaxy understood how unprepared it truly was. Nothing could stop what was coming next. The decrypted human data core was far larger than expected, containing layers of sealed archives structured to resist intrusion. When the Council's best analysts finally broke through, the first files projected a cold, silent panorama of the galactic rim recorded by human deep-range telescopes. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual, just stars shimmered across the void. Then the display shifted, revealing a distortion so vast it resembled a bruise spreading across space-time. The image sharpened, exposing tendrils of collapsing light and gravitational shears devouring entire star fields. Humanity had tagged it with a single designation, extracosmic entity, approach trajectory confirmed. Silence replaced every earlier argument. The Council watched a timeline of observations humans had collected over centuries. The anomaly had first appeared as faint ripples in extragalactic space, harmless and distant. Over time, the ripples became waves, then fractures. Human scientists recorded galaxies folding inward like dying embers. Structures on a cosmic scale vanished without explanation. The last intercepted signal from one distant civilization contained only fragmented screams and corrupted data. Humans had known the phenomenon was migrating toward the Milky Way. They had tracked its path long before anyone else even recognized its existence. These discoveries were hidden not out of secrecy, but because the Council had dismissed earlier warnings, labeling human concerns as exaggerated paranoia. The data core made that arrogance unmistakable. Humans had repeatedly requested joint operations to build defenses, only to be ignored or mocked for imagining threats. The next sequence of files revealed the colossal preparations humanity undertook. In the dark space between spiral arms, they constructed gigantic forges bound by exotic matter. Dyson-scale collectors harvested energy from multiple stars. Quantum lattices anchored entire sectors into stabilized spacetime. These megastructures, invisible to ordinary sensors, were designed to face something capable of deforming physics itself. Additional logs exposed the internal shift in human society. Manufacturing output skyrocketed. Scientific departments merged into a singular directive. Fleets were quietly restructured for long-duration warfare far from any inhabited region. Even their cultural archives changed tone, less focus on diplomacy, more on endurance, sacrifice, and preservation. Humanity had prepared their territories for abandonment, maintaining every world meticulously so the galaxy could use them if needed. The final decrypted messages contained translated human research notes. They described the anomaly as a predatory force, not merely a natural phenomenon. Its arrival was accompanied by gravitational signatures suggesting intelligent intent. Human probes sent beyond the void vanished instantly. One probe managed to transmit a fragmented snapshot before disintegration, a swirling host of titanic silhouettes drifting within the distortion, vast enough to eclipse stars. As the Council absorbed this information, a new alert cut through the chamber. Sensors detected another burst emanating from human megastations. This time, the energy formed a pattern so precise it matched human quantum encryption, an activation signal. Every abandoned station, forge, and outpost powered to maximum output, linking together as if forming a single colossal network. The map updated to show lines connecting them, creating a massive geometric formation pointing directly toward the anomaly's inbound path. Before the Council could interpret it, a new transmission appeared. It was unmistakably human, a calm, sharpened voice devoid of emotion. The message wasn't directed at the Council but at something approaching the perimeter of human territory. It repeated in a steady cadence, translated automatically by the system. Anchors established. Perimeter locked. Containment phase initiated. Moments later, surveillance arrays at the galactic edge detected a surge that dwarfed previous readings. A blinding rift cracked open in the void, stretching thousands of kilometers, pulsing with violent energy. The anomaly had reached Milky Way space. First contact had begun. The rift illuminated a colossal human structure positioned directly in its path, an artificial fortress larger than any star city ever built. It radiated a defensive field that strained under the pressure of the incoming force. Humanity had created a barrier, one last line between the galaxy and extinction. The Council watched the feed, unable to look away as the fortress absorbed the first impact. The data stream crackled, stabilizing just long enough for one final human broadcast to reach them. Stand by. Do not interfere. We hold the breach. The first shockwave rolled across the galaxy, bending long-range sensors and shattering deep space arrays. For a moment, every screen in the Council chamber turned black. When the feeds returned, the image displayed an object so enormous and foreign that even the most seasoned commanders fell silent. A single vessel had emerged from humanity's long quiet borders, vast, obsidian, seamless, radiating energy fields that twisted space around it. It dwarfed everything the Council had ever classified as a dreadnought. Some mistook it for a mobile station until it moved with impossible precision. Its hull pulsed like a living star. Gravitational waves rippled outward with each shift, stabilizing the breach created by the invading force. Then a transmission pierced through every channel. The voice was unmistakably human, yet deeper, altered by something that carried both exhaustion and absolute authority. We endured the first incursion. Prepare for immediate displacement. More rifts will follow. The statement carried no threat, no request, only the calm certainty of beings who had already accepted the cost of protecting a galaxy that barely understood them. The Council demanded identification, origin, status, anything that could explain humanity's transformation. The reply arrived as a swirl of encoded data, revealing nothing except a final translated line. Classification exceeds your security. Stand clear. Before anyone could question it further, a new tier ripped open near the galactic center. The entity that emerged defied all known physics, an immense structure of shifting segments and luminous tendrils consuming starlight as it advanced. Gravity collapsed around it, drawing in stray matter like a cosmic whirlpool. The Council deployed its combined fleets, desperate to prove they could assist. Their ships fired volleys of plasma, antimatter, and exotic beams, but every attack dissolved against the creature's surface as though the firepower of hundreds of species meant nothing. The creature retaliated with a pulse that detonated half the fleet instantly. Panic filled the channels, overridden moments later by human command signals. The colossal human vessel repositioned with terrifying speed. Energy gathered along its flanks, forming spears of black light that pierced the anomaly's body, forcing it backward. The impact shook entire systems. Even the Council's most advanced monitoring units glitched under the strain. A formation of smaller human vessels warped in behind the Titan, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Their exteriors shifted to match the creature's frequency, allowing their weapons to bypass its natural defenses. They moved in a synchronized pattern that resembled a single organism rather than separate ships. Each strike carved through the invader with accuracy that bordered on prophecy, anticipating its movements before it made them. Where humanity once fought with determination, they now fought with inevitability. The Council realized these weren't soldiers returning from a campaign. They were survivors of a war waged beyond known space. Their technology had adapted to forces that consumed entire galaxies. Their tactics relied on altered physics, temporal anchors, and energy signatures no alien civilization could replicate. These weren't the humans the galaxy once challenged or underestimated. These were humans who had stared into an extracosmic abyss and built themselves into something capable of confronting it. As the anomaly weakened, the Titan ship deployed squads of armored figures. They launched directly into the creature's interior through gravitational distortions that would have torn any normal being apart. The suits they wore glowed with shifting layers of defensive energy, reshaping themselves to counter each new threat. Their weapons emitted silent bursts that destabilized whatever passed for the creature's neural structure. The Council saw them move through collapsing corridors of living mass, advancing with calm, lethal precision. Within minutes, the anomaly cracked apart and imploded into a cloud of inert particles. The human titan released a stabilizing pulse to seal the breach. As quiet settled across the system, the Council sent another message seeking explanation, strategy, or even reassurance. The reply was brief, carrying a gravity that chilled every listener. That was a scout. The feed widened, showing ripples forming across multiple distant coordinates. Dozens of rifts pulsed at the galactic edge. Humanity had returned not to reclaim territory, but because they were the only barrier between existence and annihilation. The final message echoed across every inhabited world. Evacuate vulnerable sectors. We will hold the line. This war has only begun. Rifts ignited across the galactic perimeter like wounds tearing through the night. Every long-range sensor shifted into emergency mode as gravitational tides surged outward, ripping smaller moons from orbit and distorting entire constellations. The anomaly that the humans had identified as a scout now appeared insignificant compared to the forces pushing through these fractures. Each breach expanded into a vortex large enough to swallow fleets whole. The Council no longer issued commands. Every species fell under a single unspoken truth. Only humanity could confront what was arriving. The first wave erupted from the largest rift, Leviathan forms stretching thousands of kilometers, built from churning void matter and hardened gravitational shells. Smaller war organisms swarmed around them, weaving together fields of entropy that evaporated anything caught inside. The Council attempted to deploy their remaining defenses, but their weapons disintegrated the moment they touched the enemy's surface. Even their strongest shields collapsed instantly, unable to resist the pressure of a force designed to unmake universes. Then the darkness lit with streaks of impossible motion. Humanity's origin fleet descended from hyperspatial folds, emerging with patterns so complex they resembled constellations moving with intention. Millions of ships formed a barrier wall that rippled with synchronized pulses, each vessel linked to the next through quantum pathways that radiated unity. These were not the fleets the galaxy once feared. These were constructs forged in realities bent by cosmic predators. Their size, design, and behavior defied everything the Council had catalogued. Human Titan-class vessels moved to intercept the Leviathans. Their hulls reshaped to counter each unique trait of the invaders, forming mirrored distortions that disrupted the creature's gravitational cores. The Titans struck without hesitation, unleashing waves of condensed singularity fire that shredded chunks of void matter and forced the Leviathans back. Smaller human ships wove around the Titans, exploiting fractures created by each blast. Every strike appeared woven into a larger strategy, as if humanity had rehearsed this battle across endless timelines. The invaders retaliated with beams that tore through reality itself. 3 Titan-class ships vanished instantly, reduced to particles scattered across multiple dimensions. Instead of faltering, the human formation shifted to fill the gap. Reinforcements surged from hidden slipstream gates, colossal carriers unfurling their wings to deploy battlegroups equipped with adaptive armors that reacted to the invaders' shifting frequencies. Human ground teams launched from orbit directly into the bodies of the larger creatures. Their armor flickered with multi-layered defenses that adjusted to each new threat. They moved across writhing surfaces that behaved like collapsing stars, carving precise wounds to destabilize the creature's internal structures. Every Marine fought with unwavering discipline, even when entire sections of the battlefield rotated through distorted geometries. Human command broadcasts flooded the network, assigning roles to every species without debate. Shield-based civilizations were ordered to create defensive barriers around evacuation points. Energy-intensive species were directed to amplify stabilization beams projected by human carriers. Telepathic races were tasked with jamming the invaders' coordination fields. Under human direction, the galaxy operated with a level of efficiency it had never achieved on its own. Yet even with this unity, the rifts widened further. Humanity activated the galactic hearth, a superstructure constructed across multiple dark matter planes. Its ignition sent shockwaves through subspace, pulling energy from thousands of distant stars. The hearth's function became clear. It was engineered to burn the invaders' home dimension, severing their ability to penetrate the Milky Way. But activating it required someone to anchor the rifts from the other side. Human fleets began shifting formation. Their trajectory pointed not toward a fallback position but toward the vortex itself. The Council realized what humanity intended long before the humans confirmed it. They were preparing to move into the ruptured dimension and hold the battle there so the hearth could complete its cycle. Transmissions echoed across every channel. "We will not allow another galaxy to fall. We carried the war where it began. Seal the gates after we pass." The Origin fleet surged forward. Titan-class dreadnoughts plunged into the vortex first, their silhouettes swallowed by the swirling dark. Carriers followed, then entire swarms of escort ships, each vanishing into the storm without hesitation. The last human vessel paused before crossing. Its final message resonated through every world. "Live. That is our victory." The rifts collapsed behind them as the hearth ignited fully. Light surged across the void, sealing the fractures and stabilizing the galaxy. Silence replaced the chaos. The invaders were gone. Humanity was gone. But across 12 former human systems, identical monuments activated. Each projected a single line into the stars. "We stand beyond your sight, but never beyond your defense." And at the farthest edge of reality, where no species could see, a solitary Titan ship burned like a newborn sun, holding the line for all existence.